Candy Carson, thank you so much for being on Turning Point.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, your book, A Doctor in the House, one thing that stood out to me is you yourself, you went to Yale, you also have an MBA from Johns Hopkins, and you're an accomplished musician. How in all the hype of Dr. Carson did you not lose your focus and your goals on what Candy wanted to do?
Well, sometimes what you want to do has to take a back seat, because even when he was doing medicine, there were times where he would get cases, you know, a little bit more challenging maybe than he wants to deal with, but you deal with what you have. And, you know, they say, the experts say that most people will have maybe 3 or 4 different careers in their lifetime. I spent a lot of time and money on education, you know, getting, you know, an undergraduate degree and then the master's. But, you know, I've been able to use that, you know, in interacting with people and different things I've been called to do with our charity, where we try to help kids to be the best that they can be. I use a lot of my business there, and also, you know, when you're writing articles, because when we open up Ben Carson reading rooms around our country, and those are places where we help the kids to learn to love learning by giving them wonderful places to relax with a book and go into their own little world, which they a lot of times can't do in other places.
What are some of the results that you've seen in some of the kids that come through the reading room that you and your husband set up throughout the country? Because I can imagine you guys being such big proponents of education, it has to be a joy when you see success happening through the work you're doing.
Oh, yeah. A lot of these kids, and most of our reading rooms are put in areas where it's Title I schools where it's poverty and so on. You know, they read the books and then they get points for that, and they turn them in for prizes. And at first they're doing it for the prizes, but after a while they learn to love learning, and they become lifelong learners. And that's what we're all, you know, we're made to be. You know, you've got this capacity up here so that you can continue learning.
Yeah. And when I was reading your book, one thing I got was a great sense of family. When you described how you grew up, it reminded me of the stories that my mother told me, how she grew up. And now the family, particularly in the Black community, is very damaged. What do you think happened, one? And two, what do you think we can do to get back to that strong sense of family again?
God intended for there to be a father and a mother, because, you know, Adam and Eve. And in some cases, if the father's around, then the mother doesn't get as much help. And it's kind of sad that that's kind of promoted single parenthood, because with single parenthood also comes a break in someone's education. That woman's education stops usually when that child comes. But we can start programs where it helps the mother, you know, where they have child care services that are very well vetted, so that you don't have to worry about your child's safety or anything, and giving them a chance to go back and continue their education. Places where Ben has spoken, they've had organizations that will they will take people from the gutter, you know, people that are on drugs and, you know, different kinds of things, bring them into a special 12, 13-week program where they help them to learn how to dress well, or dress appropriately for certain job interviews, help them to present themselves well, you know, in your stance, in the way that you talk, in the way that you hold yourself, your poise, so on and so forth, and also how you present yourself. So they do that program, and then this one woman, because the people that go through this program usually when they get them internships with local companies, and then after a week or two, those companies usually hire them, and so that's, you know, helping people to realize that American dream. You can be whatever God wanted you to be. Also, it was a different program, but similar thing where they're taking people off the street. This one woman was an addict, and they pulled her in off the street and helped her turn her life around. And she was maybe a couple of weeks from getting her PhD.
Wow.
This is a person that had gone so far down, and then she gets to help elevate herself to be whatever she wants to be. It's just really exciting. These kinds of programs are all around the United States. We need to find a way to get those maybe organized in a way where it's everywhere, that everyone has that kind of opportunity. And that's something we'd like to try to help to do, too.
Wow. And speaking of the American dream, your husband, you said in the book that in 2011 he began to have a great burden for this country.
Yeah.
What was it that he saw that burdened him? And I'm quite sure you as well, that burdened you so much that you took on this task, to run for president?
Yeah, well, you started to notice that, like our founding fathers said, this system of government is formed for well-educated and well-informed populace. And a lot of people around our country don't know a lot of things that are going on that might, that it's really a crisis situation. We're about to go over a precipice financially in this country. We need to do something about that, because if we don't turn the ship around before it goes off the cliff, it's going to impact everybody in a really bad way. And as the most benign world power that the world has ever seen, the United States really needs to try to do its best to stay on top. We're the child of every other nation, so we have other nations' interests at heart. And when there's trouble, we're there, you know? So we owe it not only to our country, but to the world to try to maintain our status.
Well, Candy Carson, thank you so much for being here on Turning Point, and we wish you and Dr. Carson all the best.
Well, thank you so much. And it's been great being here with you, too. Love your purple.
Thank you.